Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Jessie Fana Evangeline. You can call me Jessie, and I'm from PURTV. And in this section, I will explain and presenting to all of you about one of business letter that is inquiry letter. What is inquiry letter? Inquiry letter is a type of letter that contains requests for information from product, service, job vacancies, or other business information, which aims this letter help someone to ask a question about things they are not known by the letter maker related to the product being offered. What is the function of inquiry letter? Of course, the function of this letter is to respond to an advertisement from information sources such as newspaper, magazines, or electronic media about product or service when we are interested in the information obtained. Usually, this letter is the first step in building a business or cooperation from two parties, namely the product or service provider and the buyer of the product service. In this letter, there are several things that are discussed by the service or product provider, which is a question from a buyer in order to help the buyer himself to find out information about the product service. In this letter, there are some things that are discussed by the provider of service or product, which is the question of the buyer in order to help the buyer itself to find out information about the product or services. Uh, the first is name of the product, and the second is a product specification like type, size, quality, capacity, and the other. The third is unit price. The fourth is discounts. The fifth is method of payment from the buyer to the seller. The sixth is delivery of the product from the seller to the buyer, and the last is ease of which may to be obtained by the buyer, such as like variety and the others. Part of inquiry letter. The first is letterhead. In the letterhead, we should include the identity of a company or agency so that the recipient the letter know where the letter come from and what institution send the letter to them. The second is date. Writing the date on a business, especially in a inquiry letter, it serves to indicate what date, what day, what month the letter was written and signed. The third is inside address. This should include the name of the person we want to writing to, the person's title if available, the name of the firm, and the firm's address. The fourth is letter, number, and subject. And the fifth is salutation. In salutation is an opening greeting that usually used at the beginning of a letter, especially inquiry letter, like for example, like the dear sir, dear madam, dear Mr. Uh, Danny, dear Miss Ivana, and Astrak. And then body of the letter. In inquiry letter, there is a part of body, and the first is opening. In the opening, uh, the writer of the letter should tell why we wrote the letter to them. And then focus. In the focus, we should provide details to the recipients or a company of the letter, and then action. In the action, we should tell what we want the company to do after reading our letter. And the last is closing. In closing, we should mention our wish or hope to the company after reading our letter. And then there is a complementary clause. The complementary clause uh, usually ends with writing like "sincerely yours," "thank you," and so on. And the last is name and signature. There are some tips for writing an inquiry letter. First, we should begin the letter by studying who we are and giving our status or position. The second is explain to the purpose of our letter and what we hope to accomplish. And the third is keep the language formal. And the last is get straight to the point and also tell the details from the sellers need to be mentioned in the letter. And try to end the letter by mentioning that you will wait their reply so that they know what you are a serious buyer or not. This is an example of inquiry letter. In the top is letterhead, and then there's date, inside address, salutation, body of letter, and complimentary clause, and then name and signature. That's all about my presentation. Thank you for your listening. I'm so sorry if there are any mistakes that I've made. Uh, that's all I want to say. Thank you and see you.